No, I thought you said sex.
Succumb.
I thought you said, no, listen, I thought you meant sex. I was like,
you get seduced into it.
Okay, this just got awkward. Let's go to someone else. Like,
Let's have this talk. How do you succumb to sex?
No.
I mean, we can go in the whole deflowering virgin side.
I thought you were talking about, like, you know, when you hear other people.
Oh, peer pressure.
No, never mind. Let's just move on.
Okay.
Okay, like, for example, my mom's saying how, like, if you must date someone, it's best to be with someone that's in another school. Because, like, when you're with someone, like, you see them all the time. And you
That's horrible.
It's awkward.
That's the absolute last person to date. Especially here. Do you know our school population? You're watching that person everywhere.
Exactly.
No!
That's not a good thing.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why, like,
Your mother is wrong. Excuse me, if Damali's mom is watching this right now.
No, wait,
You are
no,
not
I meant, like, if not, you shouldn't date someone, like, in your school.
Then that's accurate, yes. You
That's
never
what
want to
I
date
said.
on campus. Yeah.
What do you think I said?
That you should.
No, you shouldn't.
I heard shit too.
No. Okay, what I said is that it's best to date someone, like, that's not in your, because if you're at a school, then, like...
But then that presents challenges in itself.
Yeah.
And surprisingly...
It depends on how, it depends on how, if you can make it work, then...
You get that whole weird paradox of how much effort does it take to make something work.
Yeah.
You know, and don't get me wrong, you know, I respect that idea, and I mean, I'm a love therapist, I'm a doctor in it, I love it. I really want you all to build healthy, happy, monogamous relationships. Here's the problem. How far are you willing to go to make something work? That's where immediately you draw that line right there.
Because I feel like if you see the person, like, every day, that's not going to be fun.
Well, and not just that, but then, so like, okay, it's like in our little Catholic belt. Even if you, okay, so we have us, Olu, Incarnate Word, Trinity.
Something like that.
Not Trinity.
Not Trinity? Okay.
UTSA.
Well, okay, just our Catholic belt. So Olu, Trinity, us. Okay. Incarnate Word, sorry.
UIW.
Trinity is nice.
Trinity is
So, nice.
It is.
So, you have this little Catholic belt. You would be surprised how much animosity and sort of like weird tension there is when you say you're from St. Mary's and you go to like Incarnate Word.
No.
Or you go to like,
It's okay.
well, not really Arlington Lake so much, but like you go to like Incarnate Word. Crazy shit happens. And you know what thing that can screw the relationship? I think you see this in a couple anime and manga, that being at rival schools is a bigger cock block than your parents. Because, like, so I had this with my friends. She went to Lamar, and he went to Arlington.
Oh shit.
Anyone from the Dallas-Fort area knows those are two schools that have a massive rivalry. So when they went to football games, they could not touch each other. Opposite sides of the fucking stadium. You cannot be near each other, because you know what? If you cross over, you've committed suicide. And you don't think those things are important, but they are. And this became somehow a love brand. Just don't screw on campus, okay? Just don't. No.
That's the only bed I have. My bed at home is gone.
No one needs to know. TMI. Use a car or something. Go to the forest.
Better.
Travis is bigger than his car.
Do you know what I drive?
He drives
Little
so
Ford Focus.
You're like arms and legs strewn everywhere. Dress code! Wait. Dress code! Keep your uniforms looking clean, people. It's important. There's actually some schools in Japan that will measure your skirts. Like, there are people walking around with rulers to assure that you are at the length necessary. And if you went to a Catholic school, you had that too. Like, you had skirt check.
They did that in my school.
So, girls, who remembers their standard skirt check?
Yeah, it was like up to here.
If it's
like
your
right to the middle finger.
Yep. Except if you had shorter fingers.
Yeah, I have sausage fingers, but I also have stubby legs, so it always ended up working out.
It can be no more than 4 inches above the knee.
We had to get down on our knees, put our fingers at our side, and then have a ruler.
They rape you, David? Yes, Master, please. Woof. Woof. That's a woof, woof. You know, the hell kind of rape school did you go to?
This is a public school, actually. My middle school. I told you.
My second high school.
Wait, your middle school did this?
Yes, our middle school. They would measure the length of our skirts, and if the girl decided to wear shorts, they'd really measure the length. They made you sit on your knees.
Because you know what I'm seeing when you see this group of little girls in skirts and like men with rulers, like. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, right about here to the thigh. Yeah, it's just good size.
They really enough to make it the same sex teacher.
Oh, thank God! You have some dried up, shriveled little old man. Come here, little one. You stole my youth, but it's okay. Let me just make sure that everything's right.
This is all off camera. This is really good things let everyone know. Whoever's watching this,
They also measured the boys' hair.
Is this school still exist? We should
Burn
go
it down.
It actually in recent years gotten way more lax.
Anyways, Damali.
There's one time there's this girl in middle school where, like, what would happen is, like, well, our assistant principal, she would be, like, up on the stage, and she called this girl out, and she was like, your jeans have way too many holes in them, you need to go and change them. So that was, like, yeah. Oh, yeah, your jeans are too baggy. That was one thing.
I mean, every school's gonna have a dress code. Now, uniforms are interesting because even though you all do look the same, here's a reason for that. You should look surprisingly cute. And then you can't form opinions about yourself. And as long as you can't form opinions, then society functions just fine.
The thing is, not everyone looks as good in a uniform as others.
Thank you for the one beachy, shallow answer possible. You're right. Not everyone looks cute in these things.
No.
I, for once, have wear enough shape. I don't look good in Sailor Fuku, which is why I wear the boys' uniform.
Damn.
Which is why I wear the guys' uniform. So stick to dress code very, very closely. Press your damn uniforms. For the love of God, there's nothing worse than seeing a bunch of girls in wrinkled skirts where they've been molested before class. Well, I mean, if they went to Lawrence School, they must have been. Class structure. You'll report to homeroom promptly at 8 o'clock in the morning. That sounds early, but it's not.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in I was in junior high, I had to report to homeroom at 7:15.
Not really.
Yeah,
but
Oh, yeah, I was
like
at 7:45 or something like that. I don't know, 7:40.
And the schedule is tight, so plan accordingly. How many times have I told you, Kohai, to plan very, very carefully? How many times have I told you guys as officers to plan?
this week, this month,
This
semester.
We're about to get Naomi Campbell.
We plan for stuff?
I know. Well,
Okay.
this is just paper for origami. Once you leave campus, remember that you are a representative of your institution, which means do not leave and go become a host. Do not leave and go become a prostitute. It's a bad idea. Mostly because someone will see you. No, especially with St. Mary's. You know something weird about St. Mary's? Is that once you leave, everyone still knows you're from St. Mary's. Like, you have like a look about you that you suddenly know that you're from this school. Like, Amber, when all of our excursions out, haven't we always known to find at least one person that somehow knows?
Because I wore my St. Mary's sweatshirt.
Well,
That would
When we
be
are not labeled.
okay, when we are not labeled, I've always managed to find someone that just somehow can like smell the Catholic on me, I guess.
Smells like Catholic.
You know, can see the little extra amounts of holy water that has been accosted to me. And you get these strange ideas of what it means to be a representative of your school. And this is something that I personally, as a senpai, do encourage, that once you leave this campus, you are a representative, not just this organization, but of your family and of this university. Therefore, act right. Like we went to the Asian New Year Festival. None of you acted like little tools, because that would have roundhouse kicked you in the face. It would have been epic, but it would have been horrible. Honorifics usage. How many of you already know your honorifics? Except for those of you in the Japanese class who are apparently only learning song.
She did introduce Chan today.
Oh, thank God!
No. It's a cutesy form of san for little children to use. That's how she introduced it. I am not kidding.
Chart. I'm not gonna hit you. I'm an abused housewife.
I know all
It's
except
a
I
cute
don't
version
recognize
for
the
kids
first
to use
two.
because they can't say san properly.
Well, O and Go are very, very old.
Yeah.
I don't hear them.
You don't hear them at all anymore. I was really hoping to cut off at San, but it was given to me. I couldn't say no. So where do you think you're going?
Come on.
You said it was for origami. That's not origami, whatever.
Oh, I don't
At
know.
least make
Oh,
them
I
paper
remember
frogs
those.
or something. They're simple.
Anyways, where do you think you're going to use San?
Other classmates.
No.
Possibly
Oh, wait,
teachers.
Workplace.
Workplace
Teachers, other members of faculty.
student, friends,
You
parents.
don't use it among the student body?
No.
Ever?
Never. I'm not that much older than you. Why would you address me as if I'm married? Why would you call
Unless
me
you
miss?
are.
Anyway.
Like in Mandy's case.
That would be,
Married
well,
to
but Mandy's also, what,
Yeah.
like 8, 9 years older than me?
Yeah.
Which means she's like 10 years older than some of
In
you.
Mandy's case, we would
That
use
is,
it.
no, that is a good example of using the word son. Mandy is old enough and married and has a household and a child. You would address her as son. Me, whether addressed as senpai or possibly Chan, I would prefer senpai just because. But I'm not old enough to be a son.
So how can we see it in manga among student body?
It's not that it's improper, it's just a little bit more polite because, and this is something I never really understood, is that using Chan and Kun apparently is impolite. I never found it as impolite, I find it as informal. While San is very, very formal. Like, the only people I think I refer to as San would be like Dr. Cottrell. My professors, you know, like that's what I'd use San for. Like, I wouldn't call, you know, like, okay, so my boss.
So,
I wouldn't have you guys address me as San. I'm what, 2, 3 years older than you?
while I always got the impression that it was used for normal politeness and you moved either to Chan or Kun if the person was younger than you or you were more
Or
familiar.
very familiar. Now, and don't get me wrong, and that's also the use of San is it's highly polite. Now, among your student body, it's not that you don't want to be polite. Just when you start calling everyone so formally, you end up looking a little persnickety. You end up becoming like Uryu. No one doesn't like Uryu. He's just aggravating. And no one wants to be around that person all the time.
Maybe an Uryu fangirl, but I have to agree. He can
Me
get
being
very
an Uryu
annoying.
cosplayer, I have to deal with it.
Okay.
So, I most commonly use, obviously, Kohai, Kun-chan. Sama's very, very old. I don't expect any of you guys to use Sama. I would replace that with Sensei. Now, according to one of my Kohai, I've been upgraded to Sensei. Now, why do you think I have not been upgraded to Sensei?
You're not a teacher.
You haven't mastered whatever subject.
I'm 21 goddamn years old.
And you're young.
You don't gain Sensei until you're an actual teacher, an actual doctor, or like government official. I'm a kid. I'm barely about to graduate from college. I am at best a Ronin.
When you publish your novel, we can call you Sensei, though.
Possibly. Maybe. Please don't, though. I'll feel old. But that's your honorifics. Any questions on honorifics? Again, be careful with the whole idea of politeness and familiarity. I prefer using the sort of diminutive because to me that means that you're more familiar. Now, you're right. It isn't as formal. But to me, I'd much rather be familiar with you than formal with you. And that's just a personal choice. If you have you from one of those uppity, persnickety, oppressive households that you refer to everything, including your cat, as a Miss, Mr., or Ms., then absolutely don't change your honorifics usage. And if that is a part of your character, definitely don't change it. If it is in your character's nature to speak and refer to everyone as san or sama or senpai or sensei or I think I saw Nodana up here somewhere, which is really, really old. Like, we haven't seen Nodana since like Tokugawa period. We haven't seen Nodana used since like...
It's very rare.
What's Donna mean again?
Nodana basically also means lord, but it specifically more means like a feudal lord, like a daimyo. While Sama means like royalty or like, this one says godhood. It's like Kami-sama, God.
Yeah.
Nodana sort of just is definitely assuming this sort of feudal lord type of position where this is earthly, but you still demand respect.
Yeah.
But I started seeing Nodana pop up and like, oh god, this haven't seen that in years.